Hello, everybody, and welcome back to 50 Shades of Tay. My name is Taylor Gonzalez, and today I am joined by Kit Green. Kit will be playing Tinkerbell in the upcoming Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. Kit, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, thank you. Yeah, great to.
Oh, so exciting to have you here. Your first interview since being cast as Tinkerbell. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels fun to like dive into this world that is being created, and yeah, we've been talking about it for a few weeks now, for a couple of months now, and so yeah, now to be getting into the world, had a few prosthetics. That's all I'll say. So now, yeah, now it's getting close. It's exciting.
Oh, so fun. How did you get cast as Tinkerbell?
My agent asked me if I was interested in it, and then we had some messaging with Scott, and he asked me to sort of try a few things, and I um, I remember saying to my friend who was at my house that what the script was that I read, and it's actually not going to be like this, but I just did a bit of it, and my friend literally went, "You are so scary." I'm not really doing that anymore, I don't
Oh my,
think, but I just sort of found this like kind of thing of like, it's okay, go to the circus. It was just, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I thought, well, that's a good sign. So yeah, that's how I got cast.
oh, that is so fun. And you just mentioned some prosthetics. Have you ever worked with prosthetics before?
Only I am aging makeup. So I have for a long time performed one of my regular characters that I've made because I'm primarily a maker, and a writer and a director. One of my regular characters is a very old lady, and so when I've done that on TV and in short films that we've made, I have like aging makeup. So that's my only experience of it, but not prosthetics, no.
Ooh, it'll be fun to experiment with something new. I think, yeah, getting to talk to the people who did Blood and Honey too, and just the amount of prosthetics they wore and the process, especially talking with Lewis who played Tigger and Marcus who played Owl. It was really fun getting to hear about the transformation process of going from your normal plain self to all of a sudden you look in the mirror and you don't even recognize, you have the fangs or the claws or it's going to be so fun.
Yeah, it's so great, and the team that do the prosthetics, that Scott works with are so sweet. They're so lovely and really friendly, and then it's so incongruous because they'll just like go, "Oh yeah, I've got like a severed head. Just mind your back. Don't don't knock over that blood." It's all really kind of odd, like mixture of like super English politeness mixed with extreme violence. Hooray!
Oh my gosh, that is perfect. What are you looking forward to most with this project?
I'm really looking forward to the fact that yeah, it's horror and it's all about of course it's about the shocks and it's about the spectacle, absolutely. But for me and the conversations that the few conversations we've had, I think it's about the psychological aspect of it. I think what's in the script is very true psychologically. So I think there's two things going on. I think there's a lot of truth, emotional truth in it, and so I'm looking forward to bringing all of that.
Very fun, very exciting.
That was a
So,
little bit. That was a bit pretentious, wasn't it, Taylor? But it is actually true. It
no,
is
it
actually.
it sounds really interesting, and I'm so curious to see this particular take on it because even just talking with Martin the other day briefly about it, it's I think it's going to be so different from what everyone's even, building up in their mind and expecting, and I'm so
That,
excited for that.
definitely agree with that. It's I when I read the new script, I was like, whoa, it's really deep and intense, and in the best possible ways. And the frames of reference for the script and the research that we're doing are unexpected, and I think that's great.
Yeah, oh, it'll be so fun. There have been several versions of Tinkerbell throughout the years. There's the classic Disney animated one. There's been a few live action ones at this point. There was the one that I loved, the Peter Pan live action was with what was his name? Jeremy Sumter, I think was his name. Do you remember that one? It was like from the early 2000s. That one was so good. And then just recently, I think within the last year, there was a Disney Plus uh, Peter and Wendy movie, and I believe there was a Tinkerbell in that. Do you have a favorite version of Tinkerbell?
For me, I really, of course, I love the sort of the Disney absolute classic. Um, because I'm very steeped in sort of old-fashioned British, that period. So like going back to the kind of magic of like the original Barry, who was like probably, a little bit crazy. And so I think for me, it's probably like the absolute original rather than the kind of the filtered versions. So
Mhm.
I think there's a touch even in the original of something sort of quite dark about Tinkerbell as well. She's not all she seems.
Mhm.
And so I would go all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah, all right, that's a good one. How would you describe your version of Tinkerbell without giving too much away? Just a little tease.
Um, troubled, or true to herself, and you'll see what I might mean by that. That all will become apparent. I think she's trying to be sort of true to herself, and in very difficult situations, and sort of deeply traumatized. Um, but doing what all of us are doing, trying to survive and do the best in what we can in situations, be it a good one or a bad one.
Mhm.
So surviving, maybe I'll say that.
All right, all right. Yeah, I cannot wait to see
Not
your
magical.
portrayal.
Maybe not magical. I'll say that. I don't know. We've all got touches of magic in us, so of course Tinkerbell's magical.
Mhm. Oh, I can't wait. So other than Tinkerbell, do you have a favorite fairy? There's the Tooth Fairy, Fairy Godmother, the Sugar Plum Fairy. Is there another fairy that sticks out? I know. When I was looking up other fairies, I was like, oh yeah, the Sugar Plum Fairy.
That's so great. I love that question. Oh, fairies. I don't know. Like, I like there's again, I want to go back all the way to kind of like Edwardian, late Victorian kind of British culture, and there was this famous fakes of these posh little girls, upper middle class little British girls, and I don't know what the period was, probably like 1890, something like that, and they did this amazing fake where they faked little. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The
They
photographs.
the photographs. And they fooled everyone and they just did like a double exposure and everyone was like, fairies are real. And you're like, you can see the pencil marks. We can. I let them, they're my favorite fairies. I wish they were real.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I totally forgot about that when you brought it up. There's a podcast. My boyfriend and I listen to it all the time. It's called Stuff You Should Know. And they did an episode about how these girls they tricked the world into thinking that the photographs were real. Because back then, I don't remember exactly how long ago it was, but there wasn't Photoshop, there wasn't computers and AI and stuff. So it was a lot, I guess, easier to manipulate photos and have people think it was real.
Yeah, I think they literally just did a double exposure and they just like photographed some drawings and then the thing. I mean, it was genius.
Yeah.
So I
Oh.
like them. I like those fairies and those little girls were like, boss girls. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, that is so funny. I completely forgot about that. I'll have to mention it when my boyfriend gets back home. I'll have to tell him we talked about that
My favorite
fairy.
fairies. The
Yeah.
Disney.
Oh, so fun. So that leads to my next question. Do you believe in fairies?
No, but as I just said, I do believe that we all have touches of magic about us, and that I definitely believe that some people come into our lives in order to kind of effect change, and
Mhm.
maybe that's being a fairy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some people, some people definitely have a lightness of spirit, and maybe that's what being a fairy is. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. That's really sweet. So, as we all know, the puniverse is expanding, and I was wondering who you would like to see Tinkerbell interact with. There's the Mad Hatter is coming. You have Pooh and Tigger, Bambi. Is there someone that comes to mind that you would like to see Tinkerbell I don't know, have a scene with?
Look, all I'll say, of course, I would like interaction, and I will answer your question. All I'll say is that, it wouldn't surprise me if we got the whole Tinkerbell backstory. That's all I'm gonna say. So it's like, and I'm not angling for it by any means, but that basically we do find out little bits about her story, and that's all I'll say. So it could be that she's interacted with lots of people through the past, and then you get a little tiny portal into it in this. So the prequel could be really interesting.
Ooh, okay, yeah, that's awesome. When you first saw that poster for the Puniverse where Winnie the Pooh is riding on Bambi, what did you think?
Um, I could go even further back than that because when it came out, there was a lot of press on in the UK certainly, and it was on like the mainstream BBC radio morning news program, which is terribly serious and takes itself very serious. And then it sort of like went, ooh, there's this terrible film about called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and it's making all this money, and it was all very sort of like sneery and whatever. And I do remember going, that sounds great. Like I really, because they were sort of being slightly sneery about it, and I was like, that sounds brilliant to me. And sort of just messed up in a way, in the best possible way. So yes, I think probably that was the moment that I was sort of intrigued, and then when I saw the post, the image, I was like, yeah, great, bring it on.
So fun, so exciting. That poster, I love it so much. I want to frame it somewhere just because it's such a cool, iconic already
Yeah,
poster.
yeah. I think the
So,
styling is so great because it is comic
mhm.
and cute and dark all at the same time, and I really love playing with comedy in that way. It's sort of like just taking it to the edge of being, ridiculous, and then and also then you're like, ooh, that's scary. Oof. Yeah.
Well, speaking of scary, do you get scared easily? Do you enjoy watching horror films?
I hate them. No, I really do. I made so as I said, I'm a maker, and I made this big immersive ghost story, and the person, and I co-wrote it with a British writer called Sarah Waters, who has written a bunch of amazing novels, and she's always sort of playing with dark and the occult and whatever, and so we collaborated on it, and she said, "Come to my house, and I'll show you a bunch of films," and then we got like 15 minutes into the first one, and I was like, "I don't like this," and that was that point that she found out that I don't like being scared in films. I don't like losing control. I know it's a classic. Thank you, Dr. Freud. And then she made me watch the whole of two films because we were going to collaborate. I was so traumatized by it. So I'm totally the wrong person to work on this. Hooray, too late.
Uh-oh. Well, maybe this will ease you into it, and maybe by the time you come out of this, you'll be the biggest horror fan on the planet.
Yeah, maybe, and maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it's better, but especially for this character. She ain't enjoying this. Put it. That's all I'll say.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good.
My character's not in getting off on it. So, yeah.
Do you remember the first scary movie you ever saw?
Yes, I really do. I remember remember seeing a very anodyne Disney live action film, although I don't know how it was, called Digby, the Biggest Dog in the World.
Mm.
It's a million years before you were born, so don't look like you were going to remember it. I was tiny, in my defense, and I don't think it was supposed to be scary, but the notion of a giant dog freaked the hell out of me. And I was like, I'm 5, and I don't want to live in a world in which shit like that can happen.
Yeah.
And I remember like going, alarm, alarm, alarm. So I remember sitting in the cinema going, no, no. Yeah, I'll have to look it up. When we finish, I should look it up.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's hilarious. No, I love that when I ask people about horror movies, sometimes they'll give me, like a classic like The Ring, or they'll tell me, I don't know, The Exorcist. But every once in a while, you'll hear someone talk about a movie that maybe wasn't
Supposed.
overtly horror. Yeah. But as a kid, they're like, oh, seeing I don't know, seeing like a creature that wasn't supposed to be like a monster still scared them. And it's so interesting to hear that.
Yeah, and I went through a phase. I think my thing was, I think, yeah, I went through a kind of literary thing where I would read ghost stories, like adult ghost stories and adult, yeah, spooky things when I was really young. And I remember being freaked out by it. And that's where I got my kick. And so I do remember that thing that I think is why people watch horror films now, but I just got it out of my system young. But for about 4 years, I used to like drive myself crazy and I'd be like, like, I'm horrified. Yeah, I don't know.
That's so funny. I remember when I was a kid, I used to get scared pretty easily. And there's this thing in California, Southern California. It's Universal Studios. They do a horror nights every year, and Knott's Berry Farm, another theme park, they do Knott's Scary Farm every year. And every like September, October, the ads would come on the radio, and I would sleep with the radio on in my room like all the time. But if that ad came on in the middle of the night and it would like make the creature noises, I would have to get out of bed and turn off my radio and then like run back to the bed because I used to get that scared. And now I count down the days until I can go to the next horror night.
Right, that's great. Yes, okay. So you didn't get it out of your system.
Yeah. Um, do you have a favorite Halloween costume that you've ever dressed up as?
Um, I don't think I've ever dressed up in a Halloween costume.
No.
It's it's really different here. Like we don't really do it in the same way that you do, and then it's also generational. And
Mm.
I think I'm the generation where we just didn't do it in this country, so I've never done it. I would also say I've been performing for a lot of years, and I don't dress up in my spare time.
Okay. No, that makes sense. It's like you already are doing it on stage. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's such a tedious answer for you. I'm so sorry, but it's good to explore cultural difference, isn't it?
Yeah. No,
I've
that is really
literally
interesting.
never done it. And there's also, I will say, so my birthday is the day before Halloween, and I've always slightly resented it being so close. And as Halloween has become a bigger and bigger thing in this country, it's like, don't be encroaching on my birthday. So people are like, oh, we can't really go out on your birthday because it's Halloween the next day, so we can't do. And I'm like, your priorities are all wrong. So
Yeah.
I have a mild resentment towards it as well.
That's hilarious. No, I was talking to someone from the UK closer to when the Oscars were, and I was so curious to find out that the Oscars are also as big of a deal over there as they are over here. And I think someone else has mentioned so far that Halloween maybe is not as big over there, which is crazy to me because for me it's my favorite holiday.
No, I know, and that is cultural difference. But as I say, it's coming much more, and so the whole thing of trick or treat. So we did sort of have that, but in a very low key way. And I realized that I was out of sync. A few years ago, some kids came to my house, and they were there. They were really little, and I opened the door, and they went trick or treat, and I said trick, and they just stared at me. And then their parents were like, "What's happening?" And I was like, "I said trick." And they went, "Yeah, give them some candy." And I'm like, "No, like that's not how, like I demand my where's my trick?"
That's
Like, yeah.
hilarious. Yeah, I
And
don't
then
know
I was
what do
that's
people
it.
do when you say that? What do people do when you say trick?
Thing like, "Yeah, what are you supposed to do?" Like, I think that's what we used to do. We'd be like, "Yeah, I'll sing you a song or something."
Oh, that
Um,
is so funny. So before we started recording for this interview, we were talking about a project that you're currently working on. If you could just tell us a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, so it's not really exactly the same as playing Tinkerbell, but it's another classic figure from British culture from roughly the same time. So I'm about to play Mrs. Dalloway, Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway, and it's an adaptation in which I play all the characters, but primarily Mrs. Dalloway. And this is going to be a big production for next year when it's 100 years anniversary of the novel coming out. Um, but interestingly, I mean, it's we've been doing lots of work and filming. So it's both live and film. So some of the characters are some film, and then it's interacting between projection and everything. It's very technical, and I'm really enjoying that work. But today we've been doing a lot of work with the character that is a survivor of the First World War and has severe PTSD, and kills himself in the novel. And it's really dark and it's absolute horror. And Wolf's writing of this incredible violence and horror and the mental the mental illness, the PTSD afterwards, is so vivid. So whilst on one hand it's nothing like this, it's not actually that far away as well. But also I get to wear a beautiful green frock and float around as Mrs. Dalloway and walk around. I'll pick the flowers myself. So
Oh, that is so fun. I can't believe playing all the characters at once. That sounds like a lot of work.
yeah, it's a lot, and it's a lot of accents and lots of shifts and all of that. But like I say, some of it is on film. So
Yeah, I know. I think that's so cool. I've never really seen something like that where it's the film and you interact as the live action and the film. That's really cool.
this is the director. That's her thing. She's really cornered that, and she's really known for that. And so it was a real pleasure to be asked to work on it. And it's amazing to be asked to play that such an iconic character from British literature. So yeah, it's great.
Oh, very exciting. Well, Kate, it was very nice to meet you, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come speak with me. Where would be a good place for people to come and follow you to keep up with all your upcoming projects?
Yeah, so on all socials, but mainly on Instagram, that's the thing I like because I'm primarily quite visual, just because I like posting pictures of me looking pretty. I'm Kit_Green.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I will make sure to put a link in the description to your Instagram so people can come and follow you. But thank you again so much, Kit. It was very nice to meet you. And tell Martin and tell Scott I said hello when you see them.
We'll definitely do that, and I can't wait to see your review of the film when it's all
Oh,
done.
I cannot wait. Thank you. It was very nice meeting you.
See you, bye.
Bye.